Okay. Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming here on Friday afternoon. This is the fourth of our 7 DDSN Commissioner listening sessions, and we are happy to have you here today. We have a very good group here in the room of families and providers. So that is nice. And we will begin with public comment. We'll have a public comments section. We'll take, if you're online in the meeting, we will take, you can enter comments through the chat, and we will take those comments that way. So those are our ground rules as we begin. We have Commissioner Blackwood, and she represents the 4th Congressional District for DDSN. And we are happy to have her. This is her 3rd listening session that she's attended. So she's getting to be a pro here at this. So we're happy to have her. She had a commission meeting yesterday, so we've kept her busy always. And we have Susan Beck, who's our Director of Policy here for DDSN. She is with us, and we're happy to have her here. And we also want to thank our host, Tyler Rex. Just as always, tremendous hospitality here at Thrive, and we appreciate y'all going above and beyond to make us feel at home here.
Happy to have you. Welcome to everyone as well. So thank you.
Okay, so we are going to begin with remarks from Commissioner Blackwood, and then we'll take some public comment.
Thanks, Rob. So again, I'm Robin Blackwood. It's great to see a lot of familiar faces. I'm the 4th Congressional District, which basically is Commissioner for Greenville and Spartanburg. And today I just wanted to thank everyone for coming and taking the time to be here. We are really wanting to hear ideas, suggestions, input for the money that's tied to the federal medical assistance program that is oftentimes called FMAP, that you might have heard. We have an extraordinary opportunity to strengthen DDSN services with this one-time money that is a result of COVID. And we really just want to do the best we can for this community and the individuals that DDSN serves. So thank you so much for being here today. This money, called the FMAP money, is tied to home and community-based services. And so I was going to let Susan just describe what home and community-based services are, because the provider world knows exactly what that is, but the community, the individuals that are served by DDSN, do not always know what that stands for. So, and what that includes. So I'll let her share that in just a minute. And that's what we're trying to get input on for how the money can be spent for these types of things and these areas of DDSN as a whole. But kind of having said that, if there are things that you also want to share with us today that might not have to do with that, please share your ideas, suggestions, or input on anything, because DDSN offers many different services and programs. And even though we're focused today on this FMAP, please don't hesitate to share additional thoughts or ideas, because this is an opportunity for me personally to listen and learn. And if I'm not, if I'm here and you're here, why would we not have this opportunity to share other things that you might have ideas or thoughts on? So please do that if you have anything to share today regarding DDSN services. And I believe we have some people signed up for today,
We do.
which I think Rob will tell you that you have to come up here and speak because we are broadcasting this and we want to make sure people that are listening can hear. So if you do say something, whether it's in the comments or
Come up here and.
please come up here and just speak close to the microphone. But before I turn it back over to Rob, I was going to let Susan again explain what programs and services fall under home and community-based services before we start.
Sure, and I think that's a great point to start with because in our system, we have a lot of acronyms. Good to break it down
Yeah.
for the users of our services those are interested. So home and community-based services kind of makes sense, the services provided in the home or within the community. But in our terminology, that really refers to an array of services provided through a waiver. So they're waiver programs approved by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, the federal entity, and then they belong to the state Medicaid agency. CMS is a contractor of those waiver programs. So we have a head and spinal cord injury waiver. We have an intellectual disability related disabilities waiver program, and then also community supports waiver. So within those waiver services, including something like day programs, residential programs, some of the state and Medicaid services fall into there. Really just a whole array of programs, employment, all of those services for individual services. So that's kind of what we're talking about, looking at what those programs do now, what else can be done with them, and then really with a focus on kind of a one-time funds issue. And what that means is there's a beginning and end to the funding. That's kind of what happens here. There's not a they call it recurring funding, like one person enters a waiver program, that is the waiver program until they don't need it anymore. So there's no kind of time limit to it. So that's also kind of an emphasis of what we're thinking about regarding the FMAP additional funds.
And we have to turn in our plan to the federal government after we gather ideas and have the information pulled together and research to see exactly what is doable and prioritizing the things that we definitely want to request, but to get permission from the federal government to use it in that way. We have a few years to use that money. So just to give you a little bit more background, those are the main parameters. There's others parameters, but for the most part.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Right here in number one,
Under which page do you want?
the short one.
The short one. Okay, yeah. Question is, you want to come over?
Come up here.
Okay, here I go.
And I wish we had a.
Are we able to email you questions?
Fine.
Or ideas? I'm sorry, because I'm not going.
It's okay.
You shut down.
It's I have my card is here, so.
And we can be confidential.
Okay. What I was questioning when I first looked at it, it says is CMS is providing states the option to increase its share of federal matching funds by 10 percentage points. So that says whatever we're getting currently, they're going to give us a larger percentage, and it's not more money we have to come up with in matching.
That's correct. Right. And it's expected to be around 42 million that we're going to get.
Okay, but it's not like, there's other times we've come up with things that even though it's a real good deal to get the extra money, we have to have money in our budget to do it.
Yes, it's a great question. And we don't. That's not how this money is being spent.
And the reason I'm asking this too is I guess I've come here a little bit uneducated.
It's okay.
The-
This
the-
is what this is for.
The monies don't have to be used for medical.
It can be with anything that falls under the home and community-based services. So there might be some medical things that fall under that.
Okay, but it's not limited to just
Yes,
all the areas that serve the people that we serve.
that fall under home and community-based services, which is a lot of things.
Yes.
So.
Okay, well, I might speak again.
Okay.
Let me put you to break.
Let me move back.
There we go.
I made it. What if you say it's assume though that with it being a one-time thing, that you don't, like, it can't be something that needs to have funds to sustain it. It needs to be like over.
Yeah, yes, we don't think we'll be getting this money again. And so we kind of want to go use it towards things that don't require sustainable, continued money year after year after year. There's been some talks in some of the listening sessions about waiver slots. Can we open up more waiver slots, get more people served? And the discussion around that has been, as Susan mentioned earlier, when you get into the system, you're in the system for as long as you need to be. You're covered as long as you need to be. So if we were to open up slots, we may not, and in the third year or the fourth year, we may not have, it's going to be trickier. It's not, I think, from what I understand, what I'm learning myself as I talk with the group folks from DDSN and others there, they have said, the thing about the waivers, though, people roll off the waivers. They do, either move out of state, they or either, they're no longer with us. There's all types of things that happen with a waiver slot. So I don't know that it's completely out of the question that we could do some things with slots, because just natural coming in, going out, things that happen. And but I don't know that we could do a whole lot with it because of the issue with, recurring fees. So good question.
Yes, that's a very good way to describe it. I'm a legislative liaison for DDSN, and we always talk in terms of, in the legislature, they always talk in terms of recurring and non-recurring money. And what you would be doing is committing some recurring money. You would be committing some non-recurring funds to some recurring expenses. And so that is always dangerous, and that's something that you would want to make sure the legislature was on board with doing, because we would be committing the state to a long-term expense with some one-time money, and they're always reticent to try to do that. Okay, so ground rules on speaking. Robin covered it great. Got to come up here and speak, because otherwise, if you're asking a question from out here, the folks on the virtual watching it on Microsoft Teams are not going to be able to hear the question. So if we can, I know it's
just not walk around with that.
Let me tell you something. I'll tell you, Robin can tell you that Wednesday, it caught my foot, and I about took that microphone out. And if I do it again, Mike Mickey, our IT guy, is going to kill me. We're gonna wind up. He told me that the funding cannot come out of the FMAP. It's going to come out of my paycheck next time. So I'm not going to touch that. So yeah, if you can, that would be great. If you can come up and speak here. I'm gonna have a soft 5 minutes time limit on speakers, so that we can make sure that we hear from everybody that wants to speak. And I think that what we're going to do first is start with our host, Tyler Rex, and we're gonna have him come up here and speak on behalf of Thrive Upstate.
Thank you, and again, welcome to everyone. And I will keep my remarks relatively brief. I am fortunate in my position to have the opportunity to interface frequently with DDSN and Commissioner Blackwood, so I want to make sure we have plenty of time for those who do not have that opportunity as often. So I just wanted to mention a few quick things. Before I even get to a list of ideas on how to spend the money, would be principles on how to approach spending the money. And I think some of those principles would be an equitable, transparent process that everyone can understand and allows for local flexibility based on local needs. And that the final thought in my principles is that it really needs to apply not only to boards such as Thrive Upstate and providers, but also to all of the individuals at home, which I know that you folks understand that, but I just think it bears mentioning that it needs to support those who are living at home with families who are in need of supports, not just providers such as us here at Thrive Upstate. So using those principles of equity, of transparency, local flexibility, and across from providers and at-home individuals, the top 3 priorities that I want to mention, and then I'll get out of the way for other folks. Workforce development. The biggest risk that our individuals face is no longer COVID, at least here in our area. It's no longer COVID. It is a shortage of qualified staff. That's the biggest risk that our individuals face. And so workforce development is number 1 priority. Number 2 is accessing technology. Oh, and I'm sorry, and that workforce development applies again. I'll just keep reiterating this, not just to providers, but to families who need respite sitters and PCAs. And so again, each idea has both a component for providers and at-home individuals. Technology for boards and providers to be able to use telemedicine solutions and telemedicine in the homes, and technology devices for individuals who live with providers and who live at home. And then the third one is infrastructure. Transportation is a huge barrier for our individuals to greater independence and greater access to the community. So infrastructure for transportation initiatives and infrastructure for improved facilities, where we have aging facilities that are decades old now, from the 80s and 90s, that are no longer the modern, engaging type of facilities that we'd want to provide services in, whether it's residential or day programs or so forth. So those are my big 3, along with the principles I wanted to share. And with that, I will be done. Thank you so much for your time.
And I'll go home.
You're going home?
You said it all.
Our minds are, on the same
Yeah.
track.
You know the needs. For sure.
Okay. Thank you, Tyler. We appreciate that. And again, I want to let our folks who are watching on Microsoft Teams know that you can put some comments in the chat, and we will address those as we get them. But going forward, I just want to show of hands how many people came here with wanting to speak. Okay. Okay, since you're right here, would you like to?
Okay, y'all just gotta watch me.
Now that you had the question answered.
Don't let my chair fly.
Let you-
There we go.
All right, we're gonna.
Okay. I came with some thoughts, and a lot of them pretty much agree with what Tyler said. And my first grouping of interest was investing in infrastructure. And I know we've all been out of touch for a while, but we haven't gone to commission meetings and hearing people say things that are going on that aren't working well. It's like, I'm sure we have a lot of mechanical systems out there that just need to be updated. That is so expensive. Air conditioning and heating and new roofs and things that you hear people are just having to make do, and it keeps the system from being healthy. If you don't have a good mechanical system, it's not circulating the air and stuff correctly, and it would be a good time if we did it to put in something that helps filter out germs. And that's not very scientific way to say it, but whatever they've been doing with COVID to make the atmosphere healthy for people. Then there's also been talk several years ago, and I don't know how far we got to fulfilling the need, but in generators, we really ought to have good coverage with generators. I had the privilege of working at Charles Lee for a while and had 2 behavior homes. And I'm going to tell you, when we lost our power, you do not want to have to take your crew to a hotel. It's just like, it's a nightmare for them. It's a nightmare for you. And even if you can't have a generator at every home, you could make sure that every center, or there is a common place where you could take the people that you're caring for. Get 4 wild men in a hotel room. Woo! And then I think I don't know where we are now, and I helped out with John Coach alone when he was here. Our fleet was just so old, and it was just needed to be brought up to date. I know a lot of steps have happened to make it better. And I also know a fleet is something that just keeps getting old. But it would be nice to have one point in time when everybody can sort of get caught up and then make plans to keep their vehicles newer. Now, fortunately, we're in a climate where all vehicles are lasting longer and people are driving older vehicles. I got my 2006 car out in the parking lot that I'm going to drive for forever. But I think that would be a wonderful boost to the people that are doing this work. I've been hearing off and on things that have been going on about systems being used to assess consumers' needs and what levels they're going to go into in the bands, and been good, bad argument. I think that there needs to be a decision made to purchase a very good, a very accessible assessment tool.
Yeah.
Yes, big time. And I think sometimes the assessments have changed, and you just hear things, and whether they're right or wrong, I don't know. But I think that there have been times when assessment changes have been made that have been detrimental to the people that we serve. Their services have been dropped, and it wasn't dropped appropriately. I would like to see whatever it's going to cost for us moving to direct pay, to go ahead and make a decision on this direct pay. I tell you, there is an ominous cloud that is hanging over this whole operation because of the money that has not been paid, or been overpaid or not paid from I don't know terms. Well, from the federal money coming in, because we don't bill directly for what we're doing. And that we have had how many audits that the auditors cannot even go in and finish an audit because they can't track the money. Yet, as long as I've been involved in this program, in fact, going way back to 2005 or whatever, and serving as a board member, and the directors would always go, well, the money always follows the consumers. You don't have to worry. And in some ways, that's 100% true. But when auditors just walk away from an audit and go, we got so far and we can't say that the money is going where it needs to go. And then I think that it would be beneficial to have one of those call care systems where the aides and whoever doing the work go in the house and they go on the phone and they log in. So it makes that so much easier on your payroll people. I mean, there's just a lot of things you could do that would take the load of day-to-day tedious work and make it more accurate, make it more easy to track. And in line with that, I think that the data systems really need to be looked at to improve data retrieval and the reporting systems and the information coming into Columbia. God, we've been in this system of data sharing and having the ability to connect up and just hit buttons and for data to send for a long time now. And I would just really, I guess I'm more than anything, I'm going, let's take, while we have an opportunity, take this extra money and make it something that's going to improve our systems, improve the care, and improve the things for our employees who are trying to do very difficult jobs. I've had lots of thoughts recently about, and I'm probably going to go over my 5 minutes. You have to forgive me. About the need for workers right now, lower level workers. If we were more prepared and more ready, we're in the catbird seat for getting people jobs. And all we've ever done, and y'all, I'm saying we, as me too, because I spent 6 years on a board, so, and I've done work on lots of other places. We talk about things, but just comes a time when you just, whether you do it right or wrong, you just got to get out and do it, and then what doesn't go right, you go fix it. It's no blame. It's making things better. And I think that we could, this is my idea that just came to me today for what it's worth. I think as districts, everybody could take some of their money and put it towards the development of a statewide program for job training that would list the best practices of what other people are doing, that would provide at each agency. We have workshops, and sometimes our workshops are good, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're just babysitters. Well, let's put the tools in the workshops for the people that are working with them. You have a hotel room. Let the staff go in and train so many people that are coming through on how to clean a hotel room. Have a commercial kitchen set up. Have a dining room where they can learn how to bus tables, or different levels of skills. But if you go to the people in the workshops and say, train them, well, right now, what are they going to do? Well, you go get plates, and then you take them and you put them in this thing. We just need to have some skills. I've been out to,
Charles Lee.
No, it's Charles Lee has some good stuff. Yes, they do. But out on Wesley Road, it doesn't matter. But they have a bedroom, they have a kitchen, and I have thought that was a good idea. And I also think if we decided to do that in our community, there's a gentleman out of Anderson, Steve Cannon. I'm saying his name right? Mike Cannon. And he also has a relationship with Randy Lewis, who came from Walgreens, an executive. And I know the two of them were instrumental in implementing the work program that got set up at Walgreens, where the disabled were being hired. I've heard it's been discontinued. Why? I don't know. When you get into corporate America, you never know why something gets changed. But I think that those two men have the vision and the sight that if we pull out of our own talents, we've got people there. And I would like to suggest that DDSN help fund another dorm for Jericho project at Southern Wesleyan University. I called to check to make sure it was still working really good, because I haven't heard anything for a while. But the last thing I heard, that program has been very, very successful. So that's the gospel according to Carolyn.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you, Carolyn. We appreciate that. We'd like to also next want to hear from Susie Niebuhr.
Hi, I really can't believe I'm doing this, but I work with an amazing program at the YMCA of Greenville called the Recess Program, with adults with diverse abilities. And one of the pressing thoughts of so many of our parents is what is going to happen to their children when they can no longer take care of them. many of them do have siblings that are very ready to step in, but some of them do not. And especially like the Jericho program, the Civitans are working on a program, but we need some things available for these adults when they can't, when their parents can no longer take care of them. And our parents are asking a lot of questions. So that's one of the reasons I came here to just, try to get some information.
Thank you for
Well,
sharing.
and Susie, to add to that, why aren't there more like partnerships? Like, why aren't we partnering with the Y to help them in their endeavor?
Well, that's true. Partner, I don't really know about that part, but I know the recess program is very interested in partnering with others. And we do have a job coaching program.
I know you
that's
do.
really going.
I've watched it when I'm in the water.
But anyway, so I'm hearing a lot of great information, and I appreciate that. But that is one that, where are our guys and gals going to go when their parents can't take care of them anymore? That is really
And we are
becoming a
adding
pressing.
residential homes.
Right. So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. Thank you.
And plus the Y they can't be expected to be, to expand what they're doing. Like they've
Right.
taken this on,
Come on up, Sharon.
I don't want to.
Come on, Sharon.
No,
Join me up here.
No, the Y Recess program is a wonderful program, but they can't be expected to keep growing. And, there's more people out there that need the service. And yet here they've gone out of their normal comfort zone and are offering this. And it just seems that they could certainly use help from someone that you would expect would be offering those services already in our community. So, and they've done a wonderful, wonderful job.
I love it.
Well,
Yeah.
two thoughts come to mind based on your comments and questions. First is, want to make sure your families are actually DDSN eligible and on a waiver. Okay, so we can connect someone from DDSN to your the individuals that you serve. Some of them I know, it's a great program. And just kind of the baseline, just make sure that they are in the right waiver, in the right, to know that first, because that's tied to how you get housing options, correct? Yeah. So that's the first thing. And then the other comment, we just approved yesterday at the commission meeting a new round of family support funds. It was called Mass Family Support Network. Family Support Network, which allows service providers in the community to apply for grants through DDSN to do things in the community. So, it could be, it's a very broad topic, of things, but it might be a place where you can look to see if YMCA can apply for some of those grants to help support the program. I don't think you guys have ever gotten DDSN funds, so just something to keep in mind. And that's another thing that
I don't really.
I could have with the administration at YMCA so that y'all can maybe look to see if that's something.
Well, and that's something to bring up too, as far as in other areas, if you've not reached out to the Y, that's why we even approached them in the beginning, was because of them already being strategically placed throughout your, county.
Yeah.
And then they already had, a building and so forth and different services. And obviously.
Transportation.
Exactly, different things. But obviously they deserve a helping hand in that. And also as a parent that is on the, has a waiver and in the recess program from number one, I think my daughter was the first person. Anyway, that, yes. And she's 34 years old. So I've been at this for a long time as far as being a caregiver my whole adult life. That as far as there being anything else for her to gain at this time, given that my husband and I are not in the grave yet. Unless there's not real transparency in how the system works, my understanding is we're not on any list to get a bed. So my understanding is that there's not a number saying we're short 2,000 beds in the state of South Carolina. That, I mean, how do you work towards that goal of
You don't
being
even have
prepared for everyone when you don't even have a number to work towards? And I realize,
So you don't think you're on a waiver? You don't, are you?
no, I'm on a waiver,
Oh,
but
would you?
I'm not on any waiting list and have been told there isn't such a thing.
So we'd love to follow up with you
Yeah.
on your individual circumstance.
Yeah.
But as a state, we do study, we call it kind of aging caregivers, so a certain age of the people who are caring for people with disabilities, and we try to do some estimates of needs because of that, as well as the case managers assigned to everyone who's in a waiver are supposed to be facilitating and referring and linking them to necessary services. So there are multiple things that we can go over with you and explain that, but you're right, there's not a bunch of open services waiting to just be had. In most circumstances, there is capacity, however, residential services are really most expensive service. And of course, they're mostly waiver linked residential services. The person has to be Medicaid eligible to be able to access them.
How many people are on the critical care list now?
I wish I had that number with you.
Yeah.
More than we'd like to be,
Yeah.
and that number's reduced greatly. But there is sort of a critical needs process. There's a list of criteria. And the waiver programs do have something called reserve capacity if certain criteria are based on necessity. So we'd be glad to follow up with you and get your name afterwards and make sure we coordinate with your case manager as well as you about information.
Okay, and that, I would say that's something that I've had different case managers through the years,
Sure.
and it's always been the same response. So whether they, anyway,
Well,
things
those
change.
are needs. It's good for us to share information as well as to be aware of needs that we're hearing from parents. So we appreciate that.
and realizing that there's not an endless pot of money and saying that residential is the most expensive route to go, one of the more expensive routes to go, that if personally, I would love to see more flexibility as to what like respite is offered to parents. I greatly appreciate any crumb that we get, but it would be nice to have more flexibility or even more parent input as to how that might be better used. And obviously there's numerous scenarios of what people wish could happen, but you know, the way it is that you get a few hours of respite, and yet, like I said, after 34 years of being a caregiver, it might be kind of nice to have a little chunk of some time. And in a perfect world, that would be a matter of there even being like one, even of her, say, being able to go to a residence for 1 week. You know, things like that, of just looking outside the box as to how you might remedy such things.
Sure.
So,
We're glad to continue looking at that.
Okay.
We'll provide some more information to you
Okay.
about that.
Because there could be some things that you just don't know about too, because you know that happens a lot too. There's lots of
Uh-huh.
services and people don't.
right, but obviously the case managers don't either then, because like I said,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, it's
I ask
level.
questions and it just.
Complexity is always in our, in our world with things, and so, yeah, some people do know more than others, and so just.
And as far as the funds, and just to, because of, I don't have the understanding, but are we strictly talking about adults? Or does
No,
that go into
mm-mm,
children's
no.
programs?
Right.
Yeah.
There's not an age limit.
Okay, just because I would advocate for adults in that, my younger self, that I could see where I wouldn't have appreciated adults saying, well, we need this and this. Well, the thing is, after all these years, and we've been trying to plan for all of these years, that you have to think about that person is an adult for 2/3 or more of their life. And so it only seems fitting that the bulk of funds would be put into adults.
DDSM services in general are just for adults, so 18 and up, right?
No,
It's a cradle to grave service spectrum.
So the
So,
cradle part is at,
like the early,
CDS.
like the early intervention, so
Yeah.
birth to 3.
but as far as having group homes or
Yeah.
things like
Don't
that?
have a lot of children served in
Yeah.
group residential
Okay,
programs. So the, you know,
And I think that's what families wouldn't want their child.
No.
probably.
typically the best thing is to keep families together
Yeah.
and for individuals to be supported with people they know well, as a, you know, as long as possible. And a lot of families really prefer that, even when they get to a point, like you said, when there's an aging caregiver and you don't know what you're gonna do when you're not around. So it's really hard to kind of move to residential services until there's a need for a lot of families. But there is a whole array of different services.
Yeah.
But when you get to
Provides
this,
different
yeah,
ages.
right.
And your needs as a adult when you're 30 are very different than when you're 60 as well. So making sure that those go phase-wise through
Right.
adulthood as well, I think is a good point.
And the parent too, I know, like
Certainly.
in our situation, I'm taking care of a 93-year-old, my father, and then a 34-year-old. So
That's a-
anyway,
that's a good-
so obviously
that's
the
good to
flexibility or parent input as to how to use what is granted to us.
Right, and there are probably many people just like you.
Oh,
that are taking
exactly.
care of their parents,
Exactly.
because a lot of us have to do that when we, you know, get older, and then you still have your
Right.
child that you're, so
Right.
that's a big stress.
Anyway, and then part of it is even the mental part of it. You know, I think that has been very, very wearing of that not knowing, and that, I mean, you go to bed every night wondering.
Sure, it's a big responsibility for sure.
Yeah.
The service assessments, like a respite assessment or personal care assessment, those are, you know, terms for services that are included in waivers. They take into consideration all those factors. So, you know, a person who's assessed for service 1 year, they might need to be reassessed again. You know, in less than a year, if those family circumstances or stressors change. So that's
Right.
another factor that always needs to be considered. Maybe not associated with the funding
Yeah.
opportunity, but
Today,
just as
they
a
go.
general service delivery practice. It's always good to reassess when situations change.
So case managers are supposed to be asking you that at least once a year, or there's some level of consistency on and I'm sure Dana could probably tell me for sure, but, you know, they are typically asking you, had your personal circumstances changed at all? And that's your opportunity to say, yes, actually, I just brought in my elderly father and I'm caring now for 2. So there's things, you know, they are supposed to be taken, we ask that so that hopefully that will be considered and taken into consideration when services are evaluated to re-up those services or whatever. And so I just mention it just because it's important to share things that have changed, or if your husband or the wife has died within the last year, and that's your other, you know, obviously partner in the system to care for the child that's at home. You know, those things need to be, you know, shared with your case manager so the DDSN can take in that information and say that the circumstances have changed or whatever. So anyway, just not that they're not what we're here to talk about.
Yeah,
today, but-
and no doubt that most people would like to continue as long as they possibly can of caring for their individual. But like I said, to have some flexibility with what is available is helpful too.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you for
Thank you.
your input.
Thank you,
Susie.
Okay, great. Thank you. That was a great discussion. And Tyler, did I see you wanted to say something? Okay. 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 Would you like to? Come on.
Susan.
Yeah. Okay. Come on up.
Waiting.
Yeah. Come on up. Just.
I'm Susan Casser. I'm mom to a young adult son with autism. So I have parent experience. My job role also has me working with families and sometimes collaborating between medical specialists and families. And I'll take this off the top. One of the big issues I have gotten comments about is behavior. I know we're here to talk about waivers, but even individuals who are on waivers, their families may have behavior issues with them at home. And then there's no behavior consultant available to offer guidance. I was just thinking about the situation that Sharon mentioned of if you've got somebody who moves out of that home, or lo and behold, there is a change in the family circumstance, and suddenly that young person or that adult who's got a waiver, their whole thing's been turned around. You referenced that some, they have to move in with a sibling of theirs who's willing to take them. Then that sibling's like, I don't know how to manage them, even if you've got a case manager. So I do a lot with behaviors. I've often thought there was some kind of a help for families to learn more about behavior management for adults in the waiver. I don't know, maybe there is something already available with DDSN. I'm not aware of it. Department of Mental Health and DDSN do not collaborate well on a local level, based on what I hear from families. I mean, I hear families often say, once DMH, somebody with local mental health office, hears that somebody is with DDSN, they won't even see them anymore. Yeah, so that's pretty common. So that is a big behavior issue. So I was thinking about it from that perspective. And another thing, I don't know if this fits in with waivers, but that's a huge issue dealing with behavior, is this year I got a lot of calls from parents who needed childcare for their summer employment. We're talking about for 14, 15-year-olds, don't yet have a waiver slot. And even if they did, there's really nobody that can come in and stay with them and let the parent go to a job that requires them to be on site. I know that might be an agency by agency thing, where if there's a provider who can stay with minor children without the parent there for any length of time, there's just some things that need to be worked through. But I know two parents, at least one of them was actually an EI, who was struggling with employment because she says, I can't leave my 15-year-old, can't find anywhere to put him. So there you got the EI service going back and being affected if you got a parent that can't find employment. So behaviors would be my thing, and otherwise I think about better job training on site. So I have a son here at Thrive. He loves it. So glad he has somewhere to go every day. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. That's one of the great things about these listening sessions, is that we hear things that that we can take care of, even maybe if it doesn't involve the FMAP. And that's something the DMH, DDSN relationship locally, that's something we can work on. Our office, we had a meeting with the state leadership of DMH just this morning, and that's something that we can address and work through. So I think that's something that I've taken note of, and we will get to work on. And you also mentioned another on that same topic. You mentioned job training, job coach services. We have some wonderful providers in the state in DDSN that do a great job of with job coaching, and we are right now trying to work with vocational rehab to kind of sync up our services in our areas of responsibility. That's an ongoing process. We're meeting on a almost weekly basis right now to kind of figure out a way that that VR could tap into our providers and to make kind of a seamless transition for young people as they come out of school, coming and looking for jobs, things like that. A way for our folks to access jobs more easily and not be burdened with government bureaucracy. And try to cut through as much of it as we can. So that is something that's being worked on as well. So I just wanted to add that. Is there anybody else here that would like to speak?
Can I just ask a question?
You sure can. I think we can hear you.
You can, I got a good voice. I've understood that there's going to be another LAC audit. Why?
Well, some senators have asked for a LAC audit of DDSN.
Stands for legislative.
So people know it's the Legislative Audit Council. It is the audit function of state government, and I think for a variety of reasons, they thought this is a good time to look at DDSN. The last time the Legislative Audit Council
It was like 2 years ago.
No, actually, it was 2014 was the last time, and that
We
was,
have a different one probably.
that was an
different
update
audit.
of a 2008
Okay,
audit.
okay, you're right, that never got reconciled.
Right. I'll just give you the
Excuse
history. There was a 2008 full Legislative Audit Council audit. There was an update in 2014 that they did, and the House and Senate Oversight Committees, we just had them look at DDSN in the last couple of years. Actually, the last 4 years. They've gone over DDSN, so they've taken a look at it, but that's not a Legislative Audit Council audit.
Okay.
So the Legislative Audit Council, it takes a little while to go through. It's a big audit, but as we're going through a change in leadership and things like that, those are the kind of things that cause folks to want to look at agencies as they're going through leadership, and it's a good thing. The commission actually was searching out some way to do an audit, because thinking with the change in leadership, it's a good idea to do that. So, Robin.
I agree.
But nothing's ever been done about the Senate and House. There were recommendations made, and unless I've missed it, nothing has resulted from that. And then you did some kind of Mercer, a study called Mercer.
Yeah.
There's
Okay,
never been any results published from that. All we do is study.
Okay, that was another one. The
Yeah,
House and Senate, actually, we've done quite a bit on the House and Senate recommendations. One of their big recommendations was to move more to fee for service, and like you said, directability.
Yes.
And the commission is moving in that direction.
Mercer was saying the same thing too.
Mercer said the same thing. We're moving in that direction.
Yes, we voted in, I believe it was October 18 to that the agency go to fee for service direct bill by the end of this year. So the wheels are in motion. Obviously, there's a lot of things that have to happen with it, but we've already done some of the fee for service. We've gotten through the at home, and now
EI has gone fee for service. Case management has gone fee for service. We have just moved the day programs to fee for service. That happened in January of this year. And so now the heaviest lift is the residential.
So we're almost there. We've got, we're going to be there. There's
Well,
no doubt about it. It's just not yet.
The case managers, and what was the other one? Home.
Early intervention is
Yeah.
gone.
It seems like to me, what I've heard is every time you've gone to fee for service, then the amount of money going to the people doing the work has been reduced. Does that mean that the amount of money for residential is going to be cut? I mean, I'm being devil's advocate, and I haven't been out in public in a long time.
Actually, no. Another thing, those are the Mercer report, and we got, like you said, we got a lot of reports. We got a lot of people looking at us. Another part of the Mercer report was residential rates, and they said that your residential rates need to be higher, and so what we've done as a down payment on the Mercer report, because actually when we put the request in, we didn't actually have the Mercer report. The legislature has just made $10 million available in new funding in this budget that they're hopefully going to pass on Monday, and so we will have $10 million to do for rates for residential. There's also a respite increase there for respite services as well in the budget. So that is new money. That's not FMAP money. That's new money. That's state money that state and federal they were able to give us this year to begin that process. So it is a process. We've got Health and Human Services, another agency that we're working with on rates. They are actually the ones who own the Mercer report.
And it's still in draft form.
It is still, it's
So
still.
that's why you haven't seen it yet. The
What does it
DHHS
take to get it out of draft?
It's also belongs to the Texas Health.
Do you
It's
know,
called-
when we had the brouhaha here in Greenville, if y'all remember the great big brouhaha, they came in and did an audit. You know, that audit has never been released.
And they,
And I went 3 to 4 years calling, huh?
Who'd you call, your senator?
No, the lady at DDSN that's not there anymore.
Sheeny?
No. Da-da-da-da-da.
very cool.
The
But a
three
former
names.
state
But that
director.
makes part saying I call and I go, oh yeah, just you're on the list. You get it, so it tells me it never went anywhere.
It's,
So, yeah, it just
Excuse
depends on,
me.
it depends on the specific audit you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
And we could check
Yeah.
for you and just double check what you're looking for,
Yeah.
because I mean, if you wanna see something, then.
Well,
it
it's
should
sort
be-
of like old ancient history now, but it's just, it makes you lose faith
if you,
in the system or what people tell you.
if you'd like a copy of the draft of the Mercer report, I know that is out there. Other than that, I have.
Oh, don't send it to me, because you know what, I'll never read it.
That's- I don't know how you pay. How many
Look, there's
pages?
another one that's a little light reading.
Hundreds of pages probably.
Yes.
Yes. That.
But yes, we got a lot of folks looking at us, and a lot of audits, things like that. That's the way government works, and that's the way government ought to be. You know, it's, we're accountable to the taxpayers, and again, we're happy to have the Legislative Audit Council come in and they usually come with a set of recommendations at the end, and we're happy to have that. We're happy to have a look, and you know, we'll see what they come up with that. So, would you like to come up and speak?
Sure.
Okay.
Are there any questions online too?
Not yet, not yet.
Okay, all right.
Are there people there?
Oh, you are? Okay. Okay.
I'm Lydia Howell, and I'm a parent. My son is 30, and I really appreciated Robin's comment that we could say anything regarding BDSN services, because I'm really here just to put in a plug for the regional centers. My son did receive waiver services for many years, but he's living at Witten Center now, and he's profoundly disabled. He has a feeding tube and a trach. You know, his care is very complex. And we just don't want people to forget about the regional centers as well, that, you know, many folks can be served in the home, in the community. And again, we did that for many years, but there is a segment of the population that really needs those kind of concentrated services. He's in a building that has 24/7 nursing care, which is what he needs. So, you know, many people I know, when they think about the disability community, they've not ever met someone that has the level of disability that Jonathan has. And so it's easy for them to think, oh, everybody should be in the home and community, but that's just not feasible for a portion of the population. So I just wanted to say that to speak on his behalf today. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lydia. We appreciate that. And that's a tremendous thank you for those comments, and we appreciate it. Is anybody else? Would anybody, Dana McConnell, come on up and CDS.
Thank
Come on
you.
up, please.
And I wanted to make sure all the parents got to speak first, because like Tyler, I have access to these wonderful ladies and some great resources at BDSN. But just real quick, I mean, I just wanted to say that I know the 10% FMAP, it has to go toward the home and community-based waivers. And I really appreciate that that y'all are focusing on something that's not recurring. That speaks to my heart. I'm an accountant, so I love things that if it's a finite, let's keep it finite. Otherwise, you're committing yourself to something that you can't sustain. So one of the solutions, we've heard lots of different services brought up. We've heard the regional programs. We've heard case management, EI, day, residential. These are all very vital. All of our families really depend on it. And so to me,
kind of a solution that keeps coming to the surface is something that's going to be just across all service lines and equitable. And I'm going to steal Tyler's words here. Just an equitable provider rate increase, but it's got to be time limited. It's got to be finite across a start point and an end point. And if it's equitable, everyone gets the pro rata share, a certain percentage. That helps to elevate the entire sector for wherever it's needed most. And like you said, Carolyn, some of those who have gone fee for service have noticed a decrease. Case management is one of those. We've had an average 25% decrease from June 19 to June 2021. And so that does concern the future sustainability for all those that we serve. So even if it's short-lived and it's just a finite, that can really help boost a lot of the technology that Tyler mentioned. It could be hiring and training and retaining some incredible staff. So anyway, I'll leave it there, but thank y'all so much for allowing us to speak.
Have they ever offered bonuses?
Bonuses are we would be able to do that with the FMAP money? Yes.
You know, since getting employees is a big thing. You see
Right.
that so much nowadays. Of, you know,
Our own
Right.
bonuses.
Right.
So one of the sections in the, is okay if I talk? Activities to support COVID-related HCBS needs is in one of the handouts here. It talks about workforce support, workforce recruitment, and that would include conducting activities to recruit and retain certain types of workers that provide those services. So that is again, there's a beginning and an end to it. That could be a potential request from DDSN or DHS to consider.
Yes, bonuses are a part of it. You know, again, knock on wood, 2 weeks ago, I sat in a House Ways and Means Committee hearing, and they talked about the federal money that they have. They kind of have their own version, the state has a big pile of money that came from the American Rescue Plan as well. And they discussed, the first thing they discussed and the only thing they discussed that they wanted to be able to do with that was bonuses to frontline healthcare workers. So that is something that we hope is also going to be down the line, that folks who were with us during COVID, that we kind of do something to take care of them. So hopefully, I know the legislature is wanting to do that, to take care of folks that were with us during COVID and stayed with us during COVID. And I know that Tyler's got some folks that have fought the fight for the last year.
Yeah, a lot of people who did, but yeah.
Especially January, right?
and-
Especially January,
yeah.
that was brutal.
In fact, can I share just a
Yeah,
quick
yeah,
story
yeah, come on.
related to that? I'll be quick. One of my only fun memories of the COVID year was last December, right before the Christmas holiday. We did a bonus for our employees, and the way it was structured was that the direct support staff received the most, and then on down through management. And by the time you got to me, I think I had to pay in to do it. But what we did is, because this was before vaccination or anything was available, and so we just had a drive-through. On one day, we had over 300 employees drive through the parking lot and hand them their COVID hero bonus check. And it was the only awesome day during COVID because they were just so grateful for it. And we enjoyed it so much, just standing out in the parking lot on a cold December day with music playing, handing them through their car window a bonus check.
Get to
So,
play Santa Claus.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm a big fan of those one-time hero pay bonuses, and it's time limited, it's over and it's done. And anyway, just wanted to say that was a great day.
Yeah, thanks for doing that.
Yep.
Fun.
Thank you,
It's not every
Tyler.
day you get to give away money, so.
Right.
That's nice.
Thank you, Tyler. I right there with you during COVID. It's just, we all said, we're gonna look back on this and, you know, I'm thinking, like, I don't know if there's any of this that we're gonna look back on and think fondly of. I don't think anything we'll look fondly of that year, but it's nice to know that Tyler had a uplifting moment there. That was great. That was super. And that's something that, I know the legislature wants to do. So hopefully that is coming as well. And we will do what we can to help that as well. If nobody else, we don't hear any comments from anybody else. We don't have any online comments. They're shy online today. Or do we? Okay. How many of the bonuses that were given are still on staff at Thrive?
I'm not sure I understood, like,
How many people are given bonuses that are still with you at Thrive?
well, goodness, our turnover rate right now is so high and staffing is such a struggle that our annual turnover rate right now is about 47% among direct support. So out of 400 employees, we could do the math, but.
Yeah, it's it is very difficult to get employees just about anywhere, and employment, whatever we can do as far as employment with this would be great. And we've heard it. That's the one thing that's run through every one of these listening sessions. We've heard about employment for folks, and it is a fight. You know, because, you know, when we talk to other state agencies in Columbia, it's the same thing. Department of Mental Health, they have the same thing. You know, DSS, they have the same thing. It's just finding employees is difficult right now.
I guess my last thought on that, because I take the point that we ended up paying bonuses to people who we no longer employ.
Mm-hmm.
I get that, but we also paid it to hundreds of people who we still employ that we absolutely rely on to support our individuals. And so if I knew then what I know now on our turnover rate, would I still do it? You bet.
And that's the point of it is, and that's something that the Ways and Means Committee wanted to make sure is that they want to do the bonuses in a way that the folks who were with us throughout the pandemic get the majority of the bonus, because there were some folks, and Tyler can tell you, there are some folks that, you know, selflessly worked overtime, worked in COVID, you know, with COVID patients.
Didn't live at home because they didn't want to take
yes,
it home.
absolutely.
They
There's
got
some
it.
people who
I mean,
didn't
it was
quarantined
strenuous.
to be with people who were
Huge
quarantined.
sacrifice.
Yeah, who
People
quarantined
made-
to be with people who are quarantined, who are in isolation. You know, so it was an incredibly difficult year for everybody, and anybody who was with us throughout that. I understand if you're burned out right now, because I think our consumers are, you know, Susan John the other day at one of the other listening sessions pointed out that our consumers and our staff are burned out from the last year. So, you know, there's fatigue on, you know, on every level. So that is something that, you know, we did hero pay at the regional centers as well, for folks who are working with COVID patients, and and we hope that we can do some more for them. They got us through a global pandemic, and we're eternally grateful for that. So I think it's time to wrap up. And we'll see if Robin has any thoughts to wrap up.
I just wanted to say thank you for sharing such great insights and input. I'm here to listen and learn, and I'm available any day, not just today, listening session or not. And I do hope that we have more of these, because we haven't had something like this. I know we're kind of focused on this FMAP because we have to send a plan in the next 2 weeks, and we needed to do something quickly. But I definitely am going to push for these types of things where we can connect with people, consumers, individuals, self-advocates, whoever, so that they can share with us their experiences, their ideas, their problems, because we won't know know if we don't hear those things.
Well,
So,
have you started getting any ideas that are sort of gelling with you that you want to go after?
with me,
Yeah.
personally, well, the good news is
You're a commissioner.
I have several more people that are on the commission that have to vote on anything.
Oh,
So-
I know that.
So my, opinions are just my own, I guess, but, personally, yeah, let me think through all the ideas, ones that stood out to me the most. I, really believe we've got to provide more supports on behavioral,
Amen.
training people, in particularly the homes. I want to do something with that because, we've got to keep people safe. That it just would it would really help so many problems.
It would.
Because if you have a home and it's high, behavior issues, you're not going to keep staff because they're not going to feel supported and trained to be able to handle. I mean, it just kind of trickles down to many things. And so if we could do more on behavioral supports, both in the homes, in the residential communities, and for the families that are at home with kids with high behaviors. And we need to, I think, address both of those issues. So that's what resonates the most with me. But we'll do more than that. But that's just where I hear and see most in the community, of just families being helpless, hopeless, because they cannot control their child. They cannot have anyone come in and help with their child. It changes
And they're
your
in
life.
danger a lot of
And
times.
your quality of life, when you have that type of issue, it needs to be better. There needs to be more support. We need to work with mental health more to get more support. We just have to do more with behaviors.
Sharon,
I was gonna say, I can chime in as far as, I remember years ago that we were provided behavioral support. And as far as keeping people, I kept my husband because of that. I mean, seriously,
what do you mean you kept your husband?
Because he came to a point and he said, she goes or I
Oh,
go.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Like I
You know,
said,
and that's
Yeah, that it causes a lot of divorces.
the
Yeah.
quality of life for a family is so impacted by impacted by a lot of things when it comes to supporting individuals with disabilities. Everyone has their issues, but I do hear behaviors as one of the clearest across the board helpless issue that people are having.
Early in my
so-
relationship with Sharon, we were at a Barbara Stone meeting and we were at the parking lot at First Baptist Church. And you were crying because she was at her wit's end. Her daughter
It was
was,
an exciting night and I was bawling.
her daughter was just always staying depressed and was going in the bath. I remember almost every word and curling up in a fetal ball.
With her.
And then recess came along and Spectrum. And your daughter has been a different person ever since she got something in her life.
But there was also, and that was through here, that there was behavioral support and the person came maybe like once a week for a period of time. And we have used those same tools many years
Yeah, they taught us.
later. And she's a total different.
Yeah.
Was that the autism division that did that?
That's the consultants I use, and I tell people, this is what I learned. They're like, how did you get those
And yet
consultants?
there's not enough.
But you know, the state's only working with like 50 of them now. That's,
You know, the behavior part would tie into job coaching. The staff wouldn't get so burned out and tired if they didn't have to manage the behaviors.
Yeah, it just,
Behavior.
to me,
Yeah.
is a huge challenge, need, issue, affecting so many things that we could do, differently, better. So that's what I think of right this second. on the spot.
Well,
what
I think I like your choice.
But there's so much that we need, so many other things that we need to, so
Everybody has their pet, don't they?
keeping people too is really important. I mean, if we don't have people to care for our children, our young adults, our old adults, we are, that's just not gonna be an option. And if
How do we get out to them, the people that we want to employ, and make sure that they understand if they come to work for us, they get the best benefits they're ever gonna have their whole career. They'll have benefits equaling what executives make. They'll have retirement. They have health insurance. They've got good time off. And that always astounds me that you wouldn't be, and I've seen, you run it in your ads and you say it in your ads. And for a long time, that wasn't done, but do we need to have like state commercials or?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. It's a huge problem and we have got to fix it. We have got to figure out how to improve the staff that supports our facilities, our individuals, works in the, the program. I mean, we have got to solve that. I mean, we don't have a choice. Because can't. Yeah.
And I tell you, and the bad behaviors will really make you lose your staff.
Absolutely.
Until you've had one of your consumers haul off and
Then you have a scandal.
see you twirling across the floor. It takes courage to come back in.
And we had a comment that just came in that said that just wanted to remind that home respite is part of that, being able to improve the family's quality of life.
Yes.
And so that is
True.
that is absolutely part of the equation as well.
Yeah, that is another service that we are looking at to try to beef up to, whether it's pay or whatever, because it's just, again, improves
Quality of life.
parents' ability to stay healthy and happy to support their family members.
Insane.
And if they are not able to be that way, then the child, the family suffers, and that's not a good quality.
And then I dump on you.
Okay, so we want to thank Robin for
I'm a part of here.
going through 3 of these this week.
It's great because it helps me learn. It helps me learn. I do not, thank y'all so much.
And if you have any other comments, concerns, and this is for the folks on Teams as well, we are going to have a page where we on the website where we catalog all of these listening sessions, so you'll be able to go back and see this one as well as others.
Good.
And then we'll also have an email set up for comments as well. But you can always there's plenty of emails on there. Robin's email is on there. You can
always reach out to me.
email us at BDSN with any comments. And so with that, we will thank everybody for a great listening session, and we will sign off. Thank you very much.